welcome back to Dear Career. I'm Tiana, I'm your host. I'm going to get into today's topic. I think this is a really important topic because I see this all the time with clients. When I was working with the library and holding sessions for the community, there would be folks that would come in and they were going to the library as a resource. And sometimes people they were looking for work for a really long time. I met several individuals who had been looking for work for close to a year or sometimes over a year. It's taking longer and longer for candidates to find employment. And it can be a really isolating and depressing space to be in. So I'm here to just share you're not alone. What are some signs of depression in your job hunt and what does that look like? So let's get into it. Dealing with depression in the job hunt is fairly common. However, I think the more traditional ways that people look at depression, not only, I think a lot of it has to do with media and what the media displays and illustrates when it comes to depression, of being sad and just low feelings of unhappiness. Those are what most people think of. And I think a lot of times what the media illustrates that that's what depression is. But it's not just a feeling of sadness, like lower mood feelings. There's so much more to depression, especially when you're going through a job hunt and when you're not finding work or you're not working. And sometimes you can experience these depressive symptoms when you are working and you're just having a hard time finding something new. When you're stuck in a very difficult job and you're trying to find a new role, you can experience these feelings as well. But it's not just the mood signs that is what typically people think of, but it can also be cognitive and physical signs as well that might be feeling. So I want to go into a few non-traditional signs that are common when it comes to job hunt, specifically and depression. I have a few that maybe you haven't noticed or haven't recognized as signs of depression. So the first sign I have is the overall sense of anxiety and overwhelm. This is one that I would say is probably one of the more common experiences, but what most people tend to speak about. And I think it's a little bit more tangible, and that's why people tend to talk about this one. But anxiety and overwhelm can lead to symptoms of lower feelings. However, anxiety and depression can go very much hand in hand, but they are not the same thing, and they don't necessarily need to go together. And this means really you can have experiences of anxiety and not be depressed, but you can have experiences of depression and not have anxiety. So they can be interconnected, but it doesn't mean that they always are, and they can be a standalone as well. So I just want to point out that they are two different things. Now, in our conversation today, in my topic today, I'm really just highlighting on these 5 signs. So we'll get into more in depth in a different episode. But the second sign I wanted to address when it comes to signs of depression in the job hunt, changes in social habits. This one also is fairly common. This is really addressing the withdrawal from friends, from close individuals, your social circles, really not wanting to engage in social activities, not feeling like you enjoyed them like you used to, maybe not wanting to be around others and really kind of moving to more of that isolation stage. Again, this is one that's very common, as I mentioned previously, in working with the community and doing some sessions at the library. I absolutely had some individuals, a few who had talked to me about how they really just didn't want to go anywhere. Sometimes going to the library was like their first outing in a really long time. And sometimes when I would host these sessions, it was almost giving some people a little bit of purpose, a little bit of reason to get up in the morning to go to an event where there were other people, but they really didn't have to interact with anybody. And so it really, for me, I found that to be so impactful. Like I'm really serving the community today, trying to get folks employed. And that's really important to me. So for me, I hear that when I hear that as a common thing when I'm either dealing with clients or have dealt with people in the community. Just about how they're speaking with me about, just not necessarily wanting to connect with others and they feel so alone, but also they don't really want to engage with others either. Just that sign of if you're feeling like you don't really want to interact with others, if you really just want to be by yourself, alone, not really talking to anyone, maybe you're doing a lot of scrolling where you're not having to be social, but you're just wanting to be more isolated. This is one of those signs of your social habits. And especially if you're someone who typically likes your close group of friends or has regular people in your life that you're meeting with and that feels like you're not wanting to be around them recently, or if you have lost a job recently and your social group had to do with work, and you are no longer have that social group anymore, your social habits may start to shift and change as well. Okay, the next sign that I want to talk about is really about something that I don't think is as noticeable. So it's something that would take a little bit of effort on your end to realize that this is what's happening. But I would say difficulty concentrating, and that's really about lacking ability to focus, having trouble following conversations, having trouble reading, having trouble just kind of staying on task. Those are absolutely some signs of difficulty concentrating. I would notice what this looks like, but are you experiencing any of these kinds of things and on a regular basis when it's coming to your job hunt? Are you struggling to even fill out your application? Okay, so the next one I have is one that I would say is also a bit more common, and that is changes in sleeping habits. And this could look a little different for different people. For some people, a change in sleeping habits is not sleeping at all, not able to get a full night's rest and feel rested when you wake up. But the reverse of that, which is very much a common sign of depression, is overly tired, sleeping too much, overly sleeping, really wanting to majority of the day just sleep. That means during the day, at night, sleeping, 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 long periods of time. And I say this because the average adult needs about 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Now, again, if you're going beyond this or if you're not getting this amount of time, of sleep, it's really going to impact your overall well being, your overall feeling of positivity, just feeling it will impact your ability to stay focused. It'll impact all these other areas of depression as well. So, being mindful of what that time looks like and notice that. The last sign I wanted to point out as far as a sign of depression would be overall body aches. And this is a physical symptom that having that awareness that you're either having a headache or a backache or you're having muscle soreness and it's unexplained. This can be a sign of depression. Now, does this mean that, okay, I have a headache and I'm depressed? No, that's not what that means. But it does mean notice, are you having these experiences a little bit more frequently? Is this combined with other experiences as like difficulty concentrating, feeling like you're sleeping too much? A combination of these things are some things to look out for as you're leading down a direction of understanding and being aware of what you're experiencing. Now, I think these signs are really important to address, and I really wanted to make time and space to talk about these things because a lot of times depression does go unnoticed, untreated, whether that's through medication therapy, exercise, whatever it is. Only you know what's going to work best for you. But I want to address this because the feelings of depression during the job hunt are just so common and they become more and more common. Post COVID, there were so many individuals who lost jobs. And even now in 2025, people are still trying to recover from trying to find work. And it's gotten better, but there's other experiences where it's gotten a little bit more tricky for folks. So I really want to make sure that my audience knows what are these signs, and I want to make sure that you're feeling empowered to recognize these things and talk to someone about it, work to seek treatment, try to get these things addressed. Therapy is really, really important. Coaching is important, but also if you're someone who needs medication, that's also really important as well. So I really want to make sure that we're kind of normalizing this depression conversation conversation because depression during the job hunt is a fairly common thing, but it doesn't have to go untreated. So please, please, please take care of yourself. Please, please, please take the time to address these things if you are experiencing them and, continue to share. The more that we talk about it, the more it gets normalized. And I think those who don't understand will continue to get a better understanding. And that's really what's important here at the end of the day. So that is what I have to talk about today. Please stay tuned in the next episode because I will be bringing these 5 symptoms back up and we're going to talk about some ways you can counteract them, balance them out so that you can address them on your own a little bit. So stay tuned for my next episode. Until then, please let me know if this helped you. I want to know what worked as far as giving you some insights. I want to know what helped you. I want to know what might you be experiencing that is making you feel alone. Let's share and let's help everyone feel like they're not alone either. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.